So without taking more time, I'd like to introduce Aymeric Olibet from BNP Paribas, a great friend, great supporter of Crowdsourcing Week, a great evangelist. Thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
And of course, Thierry and Mathieu from NG, thank you for coming and thank you for great support also. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Thierry from NG. I work on new business with NG, but today I'm not here to say what NG thinks, but just me. I will come back on that. And here is Aymeric from BNP. 3 months ago, Aymeric invited me to join a group of 7 people that you can see on the picture. And the idea was to all together to brainstorm. So we had several meetings all together and to answer this simple question: how can we, at our level, from the crowd, foster the energy transition? So it's a big question. Right now, we have just 10 minutes to convince all of you to participate and bring your ideas about this question, how we can foster energy transition.
So yeah, we want you to be part of this big crowd because, as it has been said this morning, it's not only about the bigger institutions, it's not about top-down, but it's very much about bottom-up. So actually, yeah, for me as a banker, participating to this workshop was very enlightening in terms of having the basics right, because for those of you who work in energy sector, this is kind of obvious. But for me, it was kind of striking to see that by 2020, if everything goes well, we will still be 80% relying on fossil fuel. That is coal, oil, and natural gas, and which you can see on the chart are by far the resources of energy that produce the most carbon emissions. So again, this is maybe obvious for those of you working in this sector, but I think it's really important to have this in mind. Another thing which is more positive and which has been mentioned several times before this morning is that we're moving into a world that used to be very centralized. For example, a huge nuclear power plant feeding numerous households of energy to a more and more decentralized and even distributed system, where you have consumers and that become producers. So you have this new word of prosumers. So this is kind of interesting and important to follow. But what appeared to be new for actually, which was really, how to say, a new level of consciousness for all the groups, or even people working in the energy sector, was the fact that for us as consumers, we know very little about our consumption and about our impact. And so this is really what we want to react on today and involve you in this discussion.
And that's why we propose a little quiz, and it's really easy to participate. And this quiz, the goal is really to evaluate on a funny way at which degree of understanding of how you and we consume energy we are. So it's really easy to contribute. You just have to send SMS. So here is a phone number to send SMS: 32 460 200 711. And as for the previous quiz, you have to answer. Answer 1 is send CSW1. Would you want the answer 2? Just send CSW2. If you're ready, we can start with the first question about this shrimp. And so the question, there are already many answers. So the question is, this shrimp has been fished in North Sea and will be delivered in the plate of a German consumer, so not so far from North Sea. And the question is, how many kilometers will this shrimp travel to reach the plate? So many people think it's 3,500. Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe we will stop here, and so I give you the right answer. Thanks for answering. The good answer is not the third one, but the fourth one, which is quite surprising. I explain why. Simply because for business reason, the first shrimp will come back to Earth, but will be sent to Morocco to be peeled, because it's more cheaper there, and will come back in Netherlands to be packed, and then back in Germany for consumption.
Where some people might throw it because, you know, you have leftovers and people throw it in the garbage. So this is a huge waste of energy on which we can all, I mean, we should all be aware of. The second question is, actually, do you know how much, what is the cost of your electronic devices when they are on mute, when they are on standby? So is it 0.4% of your electricity bill, 5%, 11%, or 15%?
That's a tricky question, and it depends from one country to the other. We have used the average value for France.
Yeah. But I see, yeah, we're more or less at 50% for 5% of the electricity bill. That's 11%. So 11%. That's a huge, I mean, if you take into account, I mean, if you look at your electricity bill for one entire year, you very easily understand how this is costly. For France, because as Thierry said, we took the example of France, this represents an aggregated amount of 2 billion euro per year, and that's the equivalent of 2 nuclear power plants full speed during an entire year. So you see, again, an outstanding example of waste that we're not aware of.
Last question, quite simple. Let's assume we are 150 people all around. The question is, what do you think we will consume next year as oil or gasoline we will put in our cars all together for next year? What volume it represents? One tanker or tanker truck, big truck, 15 cubic meters? 5, 9, is it 25? Just to get a feeling, an idea of, well, what do we represent regarding oil consumption? So,
yeah, you're getting it right.
It seems you're right. That's 9 tankers, so it's roughly a small building of 4 to 5 floors, so it's a big amount. Just to show again that we don't really have the good understanding of what our way of living and what we consume as what is the impact on the energy.
So basically the 2 points we wanted to make. First, well, no clue, maybe that's too strong, and maybe especially for a group like you, because you're probably more aware than the average, but usually we really don't know how much we overconsume, and this is really a big part of the problem. But as it is the big part of the problem, it's also a big part of the solution. So our point is to say here that before I go there, is that let's really keep in our minds what has been said this morning. It's not about top-down, it's really about bottom-up. It's about change of mindset, it's about change of culture. Of course, the transition, I mean, the energy transition is on its way, and we can do everything we can to encourage this, but we also need to figure out what we can do as consumers, but also, because I was discussing with Emmanuel during the break, let's really assume that we're all, you know, entrepreneurs in any situation, whether we're working in startups, whether we're working in large organizations, we can all change stuff. So let's really seize these empowerment opportunities to make the difference.
And let's be very concrete. We did not explain you what was the outcome of our discussions. We just want you to participate and bring your ideas and react on what we proposed. And it's really easy. It's concrete. You just have to type this URL using the tiny URL things. and you will be plugged directly to a few IDs, which were the outcome of our small meetings at 7. And so now it's your turn to bring your IDs, your concrete IDs, about how we can change things at our level and have a fostered energy transition.
Yeah, and maybe last precision is that all the positioning papers, I mean, besides the proposal, there are positioning papers that AP mentioned several times. They are all on the website of Crowdsourcing Week. So Crowdsourcing Week, I think it's participate white papers. Right.
/white papers.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you very much.